By early 1942, the Allied defense in Southeast Asia had collapsed. Japanese forces were sweeping across Indochina and Burma, pushing the front lines of the Second World War directly to the borders of the Indian subcontinent. British and Allied forces were suffering severe defeats. Their strongholds were falling, leaving behind destroyed armor and decimated military infrastructure. This rapid loss of territory created immense geopolitical pressure. International allies, specifically the United States under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, demanded that Britain secure its eastern front before the entire Asian theater was lost. Britain faced a desperate reality. To prevent a total collapse against the Japanese advance, they required immediate Indian manpower and the full cooperation of the Indian public for the war effort. However, the Indian National Congress had already resigned from provincial ministries in protest. They were actively refusing to cooperate with an imperialistic war effort, leaving the administration in a state of political deadlock. The constitutional proposal sent to India in March 1942 was a frantic maneuver for British military survival. Recognizing the severity of the crisis, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill reluctantly sent a high-level authority to India to negotiate a breakthrough. In March 1942, Stafford Cripps, the president of the Board of Trade, arrived on the subcontinent. His explicit mandate was to resolve the political deadlock with the Indian National Congress in a single stroke, aiming to secure total support for the Allied war effort. Analysis of the draft proposals suggests the mission functioned as a calculated propaganda device rather than a genuine attempt at transfer of power. Placing the mission in its geopolitical context frames the diplomatic failure as a theater piece built on specific structural contradictions. We can begin dissecting the draft declaration brought by Cripps by looking at its primary offering. This proposal offered the creation of an Indian Union possessing dominion status. However, this change would only be implemented once the Second World War concluded. The Indian National Congress categorically rejected this clause the moment it was presented. This rejection stems from a shift in nationalistic goals during the 1929 Lahore session. Led by figures like Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress had established a non-negotiable demand for Purna Swaraj, or complete independence. Dominion status represents a transitional phase between a colony and a fully sovereign state. Offering this intermediate status was an insult to a political movement that had demanded absolute freedom for over 12 years. By attempting to barter with an outdated constitutional framework, the British government misread the resolve of Indian nationalism. The draft's second major proposal detailed the mechanism for writing a new constitution. The proposed Constituent Assembly contained a democratic flaw. While British Indian provinces would send elected members, the princely states would be represented by individuals nominated by their autocratic kings. The Congress objected to this structure, refusing to allow unelected representatives to shape the founding document of a democratic Indian Union. Their counter-demand was for a constituent assembly formed exclusively by elected representatives of the people. This clause reveals a strategy of using loyalist princes as a permanent internal anchor to dilute true democratic sovereignty within the proposed assembly. Clause 4 contained the most controversial element of the Cripps proposal. This provision stated that any province unwilling to join the new union would be granted the right to form a separate constitution and establish its own union. Both the Indian National Congress and the Hindu Mahasabha rejected this clause, viewing it as a blueprint for the Balkanization of India. Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Muslim League also evaluated this implicit nod toward partition. The League rejected it because it only offered partition as a possibility, whereas they demanded a guaranteed commitment to the creation of Pakistan. Beyond these constitutional offers, the draft contained a heavy-handed stick regarding immediate authority. Control over the defense of India would remain exclusively in British hands during the war. Furthermore, the Governor-General's supreme executive powers would remain intact, preserving a unilateral veto over Indian affairs. This presented a logical fallacy to the Indian leadership. A nation lacks sovereignty if a foreign power commands its military and holds an executive veto. Mahatma Gandhi delivered a scathing assessment of these promises. He likened the Cripps proposal to a post-dated check, a promise for an unknown future drawn on an imperial bank that currently looked like it was failing. By combining an obsolete status, a delayed timeline, and the retention of absolute military power, the draft was universally unpalatable. To understand why these unworkable terms were offered, we must look at the internal dynamics in London. We must examine whether Stafford Cripps was actually empowered to reach an agreement, or if the mission was restricted from the start. Prime Minister Churchill and Viceroy Linlithgow actively opposed surrendering real executive power to Indian leaders. Cripps was legally bound to the rigid wording of the draft declaration and lacked the autonomy to negotiate beyond its specific terms. The Cripps mission functioned as geopolitical theater, a propaganda device designed to appease the United States and China, while the British establishment gave up nothing. We can apply this historical analysis to a past UPSC prelims question from 2003. The question asks for the most significant aspect of the 1942 Cripps mission. Option A claims states were required to join the Union as a condition for autonomy. This contradicts Clause 4, which granted provinces the right to secede. Using that same logic regarding Clause 4, we can eliminate Option D, which claims there could be no separate constitution for any province. Option B identifies the creation of an Indian Union with dominion status immediately following the end of the Second World War. This is the correct answer. It identifies the delayed, obsolete offer at the heart of the draft declaration, the post-dated check described by Gandhi. Analyzing these structural contradictions and geopolitical motives allows for a precise understanding of 1940s Indian history for the UPSC exams.